Terrence, what's up, man? Hey, thanks for sending this over and thanks for checking it out and looking at opportunities in New Hampshire. I saw two things come through. Vermont's just so far out. So I typically try to stay within that hour and a half of Londonderry, Manchester area just for the simplicity. It doesn't mean that if you had a killer creative deal, we wouldn't buy it, but just so we can have a hands-on approach, a lot better handle on things. So Nottingham, cool, not too far. So, it's pretty close, definitely overpriced. Here's what I would ask. So it's 54 days on market, not an extreme amount, but right now it's like you're asking people to do something. No one's going to buy a house and spend 375, which is way overvalued. I bet you this thing should go for 200 grand. 200 grand is probably the given. I'd look and see what a piece of land goes for if I were you, and just to get a baseline on, all right, this is a 0.27 acre. So a quarter of an acre. What does a quarter of an acre go for in Nottingham? Then it's looking for the residential agriculture, the zoning. So I did a bit of research, and you can do the same research inside of ChatGPT. So what I would recommend to you is, like, if you have an AI, dude, it's going to help your life so much. I bet you we even have it in Deal Sauce now, but I just would take this, I'd copy and paste this, go over to ChatGPT and just enter and say, hey, tell me what I can do for residential building, or tell me what I'm allowed to do, if I wanted to do a conversion on this building. And it's going to give you all the statistics, and I'm going to send you those statistics on what it says, but I can just give you a brief outline. It's, some of the things we talked about were, it's residential, agricultural, 0.27. And so I would try to do this homework first, or understand this homework first, just to know what someone's up against. And this is good for your arguments, right? You can call this agent and I'd have a conversation, be like, hey, I have a buddy and a buyer. They're out of Londonderry. Feel free to look them up. They do church properties. They do unique properties, mills, churches. Because here's the deal. Like, you might have someone here who either just got this listing by chance, or this guy, Darren, he might have access to, like, the Catholic Church as well. Or he might have access to more properties like this and unique ones. So I would actually see that's one good question to kind of build some rapport. The other thing would be is, hey, catch me up on what we're allowed to do with this. Let him tell you. And again, this, if it were me, I would say, what are you allowed to do with this? It's my job to find opportunities for these developers. And, although that I don't know everything about every town zoning, that's why I'm asking you, like, do you have any prior approvals? Do you know what we can do with this? It says that, it could be owner occupied business. No one's having a home occupied business right now on the corner of a busy intersection or in the corner of an intersection. Like, I just don't see it, especially for 375 grand. And you would say, if they were to buy something like this, it would probably have to go through zoning, meaning you would have to go to the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Approval, to get a multifamily designation. I think even giving this a 2-family designation, it's got one grandfathered in, but from my experience, again, I'm saying a lot here, but it's when you're a religious designation, all the rules are out the window. They essentially can do what they want. So they could put a religious thing in. They could probably turn it into apartments. They could do it. They can probably have a business out of it. They can do anything they want. They don't pay taxes. So therefore, they're kind of on their own. So the problem is, when whoever buys it next, I'm going through this right now, is you don't get that same treatment. You all now have to conform. You have to conform unless you're a religious and nonprofit. So that's the big thing here. So in Nottingham, it's RAG district. Multifamily dwellings require special exception or conditional use permit. So if they have that permit in place, great. Maybe it's worth 300 grand. If you don't have it in, it's definitely not worth that. So then the next question would be like, knowing that's a quarter acre lot, you're probably not going to get much more than a single to a duplex with, at least another $10,000, $12,000 in expenses to get that designation. What does it look like? Are they flexible, is what I would ask. And would they ever be willing to take some terms? Would they ever be willing to sell this property on terms? What do terms mean? I don't know if you know this or not, or if you have an explanation, but I would just say, like, listen, if my buyer was to buy it, my partners were to buy it, they would want some favorable terms. They wouldn't decline a fair asking price, as long as you're being flexible with them, knowing that they're going to put all this money into it. They have to convert it. They have to go to the zoning. They have to do all the hard work, but you'll have your sale. So if your seller's looking for cash, a lump sum cash, I obviously wouldn't be a good fit, but I do know that we probably could have a buyer if you guys are willing to dance with them. And that's all I would say. If you're willing to walk, if you're willing to explore creative options, this is we're the best in the area that does that. We know how to structure them, we know how to legally protect everybody, and we can get them taken care of. So yeah, that's all I would do. Leverage others, leverage me, leverage the relationship, leverage what we already do here. An email I'll send back, church properties that we have, like we have credibility. We have religious properties already in construction. So it's sort of a thing we do, but it's also the trick, and it takes a lot. So definitely 375, not a good price. Again, I would say ceiling somewhere in there of 200 grand, and then it'd probably need 200,000 in renovation. And then you got to get some of that money back. Right. So if you look at it that way, what can I put in there? So is it a 2-family? Is it a duplex? Or is it a 3-family? Could I get 3 units out of there? And then what is it worth when it's 3 units? Is it 600 grand, 650? Then for me, it's what's it? Then I look at 75% of value from there. So you look at what you do the math here. You go, all right, if the appraisal, I put 675 times that by 0.75, you get 500 grand back. So you buy it for 2, closing expenses, pay yourself, pay you, holding costs, everything, 200,000 in renovations, you're at the 500 mark. And then you leave some room for buffers in case it's not worth 675. Hope that wasn't too much information, but that was a good little lesson on, what I do, what I would look at, and how I just quickly cocktail napkin math this, right? And if I was to get the best and highest of its use, what is that worth? What is it worth at a duplex? Probably the duplex is a safe one. Maybe it's only 500 grand. So yeah, I'd probably need to get this for 200 under. But creatively, we can get them paid. All right, dude. And appreciate you so much. Oh, I'm also going to add some stuff into this. I just actually went through Deal Sauce and ended up with some, here, you could check this out, with some stuff that I was looking at. They were expired listings. I'll find them and I'll put them in there. All right, dude. Thank you.